of Rational Romantics, and we are going to be breaking down the first 3 episodes of Blood of My Blood today. We have been obsessed. We are Outlander girlies in our hearts, and we cannot wait to talk about the incredible prequel with you guys because it started off so strong and so much has happened in the first 3 episodes. So stick with us through this episode. We're going to be diving right into it. Deb, let's go.
Let's go. Honestly, there's no better way to start than freaking episode 1, Providence, Blood of My Blood. I feel like we've been talking about Blood of My Blood and like the excitement and the energy behind this for so long, and pressing play for episode 1 was so surreal, and I felt like I was home. Like it was such a beautiful extension of like the series that we love in Outlander, and it just felt like home.
That's such a good description of it because this does feel like original Outlander, that magic of the Highlands and this, getting to know all of the new characters, and yet they're so familiar. Like, incredible casting. We have to discuss that at some point here, but unbelievable. I was talking to my mom about it because she and my stepdad are watching as well, and she was like, she watched Outlander a little bit, but she's not deep in it, and she was like, oh, I was a little worried that I was going to get confused on which parent belonged to which kid, and she goes, but she's like, somehow there's a family resemblance, which she's like, how does that happen with actors that aren't related? She's like, but like, so clearly Brian is Jamie's dad, and so clearly Julia is Claire's mom. And it is wild. The casting is phenomenal.
It really is. And it's uncanny. And I think that, yeah, when you talk about like Brian being Jamie's dad and, Julia being Claire's mom, like they are so similar, and it's mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing. And even like going even further out from just like the parents being so familiar, like we need to talk about like Dougal Mackenzie. We need to talk about like 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 all of them. It's so like Jocasta. Oh my gosh, at every turn I was like, there he is. There's Murdoch. There's Jocasta. There's everybody. Like, it's so incredibly on point that I don't even understand how they did it.
The Jocasta one knocked me over. I was like, how does she get her voice right? Like, Maria Doyle Kennedy has such an iconic voice, and I'm like, how does this young actress literally do it exactly, and doesn't make it sound like she's copying? It doesn't sound fake. It just sounds like it's young Jocasta. It's wild. I was floored by the casting and the acting across the board.
Yeah.
Like, no notes.
No notes. Absolutely none. And even like Mrs. Fitz, I'm like, yeah, there she is. Like, there she is. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, it's crazy. But it's so amazing to go into like the first minute of this episode and feeling that familiarity and just knowing that, I just even feel like even if you didn't know them at all, like it's so well depicted and so well explained. Like, dare I say better than like Outlander at the beginning? Like, I feel like Outlander at the beginning, I was like, okay, who's who again? Like, I'm so confused. But this, like, I feel it's just so perfect. Maybe it's because I do know and like I'm finding myself more easily. But I just feel like you can go into it even without seeing Outlander at all. And I feel like it would definitely push you to watch Outlander. Like, it's such a compliment to the series.
Yeah, it really is. And it very much has its own identity, which I love, while still, pulling all of the nostalgia and all of the love of Outlander. And this is kind of like a big overarching topic of the first episode, but I loved so much how they gave us just these like little glimpses of Julia and Henry before we got to the end and like found out about them and we were like, oh, secretly they're main characters. And it reminded me of the way that Jamie was introduced in the first episode, where he's just the guy that she's fixing. He's not he's not riding up on a white horse yet. He does, and threatens to throw over his shoulder, and it's great, and we're clear that he's the main character by the end of the episode. But they give it 45 minutes before we meet Jamie, and he's not seemingly that important right at the beginning. And so I love that they kind of buried that lead with Henry and Julia as well. Like, so clever, and just such a way to trust your audience.
Yeah. And I had to do like a double look, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait, I know them. They're so familiar. And yeah, like, it's when you know, it's so cool to catch it, but when you don't know, you kind of like you say, you trust your audience to like to follow the journey of episode 1. And honestly, like, it really does, like, out of the gate start off in like Outlander style with, like, you know, the death of the father of, you know, of Ellen's father, you know, Red Jacob, he's dead. And, you know, we're diving in right out of the gate with the grief and the, you know, the family dynamics now that, like, the patriarch is gone.
Yeah, and such a compelling backdrop for this whole narrative, because ultimately this is 2 love stories, but you have to have other things going on, and the layers that it adds to character and the way that we can more deeply understand all of the politics of the world of Outlander when we went into it because of this is so fascinating. Like, you have, which, I mean, it's so brilliant because it comes around in episode 3, but the way that you have Colum and Dougal as these kind of split personalities, these split sides, and then of course you have Ellen, who very clearly would be the ideal chief if she was a man, and her dad calls that out in a flashback. But poor Ellen, like, she's just a girl, and all she can do is get married.
Classic. Classic. But I do love, though, how, you know, we did get that flashback of her and her father, and him basically saying that she's, like, the best of him. And, you know, the circumstance of, like, the time, it sucks. But you just kind of can foresee that Ellen is going to shape the future of this family and, like, the clan. So it's just, like, kind of the beginnings of you being like, oh, she's so badass. Like, we're gonna see that despite it being a man at the head of the clan, like, she is gonna be leading it in her own way. So
Yeah. Ellen's amazing. She's exactly what we would expect from Jamie's mother. Well, and then on the flip side of that, you have our introduction to Brian, and when I saw that scene of him and Myrta talking, I was like, I'm gonna fall over dead? How is that man that beautiful? So, that's a whole... I didn't hear the words. I just got them.
no. There were no words spoken. There was just a jaw moving, and that's all I was looking at. Like, my dude, what? Who gave you permission to come in with that jawline and play with our hearts like that? Because, oh my goodness. It's a subtle introduction to, like, whew, what's to come, because my dude is going to break hearts, and that heart is yours and mine. So crazy.
Forever. Like father, like son. It's fine. Actually, speaking of like father, like son, fun fact, did you know that the 2 little boys that are playing young Rupert and young Angus that are spying on Dougal having sex in the closet, those are the actual sons of Rupert and Angus, the actors that play Rupert and Angus.
Are you for real?
I am for real. Those are their actual sons.
Oh my god, that is so cute. I had no idea. Oh my god, the urge to start over and watch it from the beginning and see that. That's so cute. And I love, it's so funny, the whole story of you getting to there, like, you know, the young kids looking at Dougal having sex through the wall. It's like, nice. I was like, where's the story going? I have no idea. Oh my god, though, that's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, that is a little bit of an interesting scene. I did think, I was like, that feels right for Rupert and Angus. Also feels weird that we're putting children in that. I mean, like, obviously that's not actually what they're seeing. The actors are not seeing that. But I was like, okay, well, it's fine.
Yeah, it adds up. With Dougal on the other side. Yeah, it just makes sense.
Dougal.
But that's a really fun little fact. I love that.
Yeah, it's super precious. Um, okay, and so then though we meet the Grants. So we meet another clan, the wealthier clan, and guess who's with them? Henry, who I love. I love him so much.
Love Henry. I know. It's like, not to skip ahead into episode 2, but like, oh, episode 2, Henry, it's just like, what a guy, what a romantic, what a like troubled, like little precious baby. You're like, oh no, don't have bad dreams. Like, it's just, oh gosh, I love him. And I love a sensitive guy who can write letters. I don't know what to tell you. Love it. But like, why is he with them? You know, right from the beginning, you're like, I know you. Why are you there? And gosh, what a interesting situation he's in.
Oh, for sure. And like I almost missed him on the first go, but I was like, okay. Then next big thing though is we get the meeting between Brian and Ellen. Their first meeting. So what did you think of our meet cute for our couple?
I loved it. I really loved it. It was so cute seeing each other across the way and like, the stables. Like, oh my gosh, it was so reminiscent of like a scene of Jamie and Claire. And I love the comparisons between the two. But I thought it was really sweet and endearing and just like perfect meet cute. You could see it in their eyes. They're both kind of like, oh, you're not like anybody I've ever seen before. And it's so sweet. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it's very precious. It felt very rom-com-y, and I think that's maybe, it almost like threw me off a little bit because I'm so used to dramatic Outlander, right? Like, that it's got to be some kind of, and I felt a little bit surprised, and I guess they're just fate. They just are. They're Romeo and Juliet. But I was a little bit like, what is it about this guy? Because, like, he's very handsome, but, like, Ellen doesn't want a relationship. Ellen doesn't want a marriage. You know what is it about this guy that like changes that for her? And I didn't quite see it from where he's at right now. And maybe we'll get that more. Like they're having a lot of very cute, like kind of high-minded rhetoric, like when they get onto the bridge and he's very respectful and he's very lovely. But I'm like, what brings Ellen to that point? It didn't maybe quite seem like enough to me just because I expect Outlander to be so dramatic, but I thought it was very precious and
Yeah.
I love their like callback to chickens are very poor company.
I know. So sweet. Yeah. It was one of those things where I just leaned into the romantic and not the rational of it. So I was just like, this is lovely. This is lovely. And yeah, I really hope too. And I think that's how I feel after all 3 of these episodes, that I hope that we get into more details about like them and how they're feeling towards each other and like why they're, because right now it's like that they shouldn't be together and like the clans like are not friendly, so it's like what is like pushing you guys past that barrier and you're still like exploring this. So yeah, I think it's really really cute, but I hope we get to learn more.
Yeah, for sure. And they plant the seeds well. I mean, but yeah, I very much want more of like that sense that we got of them on the bridge where like there is so much potential there that needs to get explored and broadened. But yeah.
Yeah.
Where's it gonna go? Oh, so moment that I loved so much and was such a great moment for like show watchers and book readers and everything was Myrta winning the Tinchel and he gets the boar tusks. Okay, but seriously, the moment that broke me was I was like, how is the moment of the highest chemistry in this whole episode Myrta and Jocasta? Because what the fuck?
I know. I know. My brain had to work so fast because like you're looking at like 2 different actors, 2 different, visuals, scenarios, timing, and you're just like, I know where this goes. I know future Jocasta and Murta. I'm like, what, you guys? I loved it. I loved it so much. And it was just such, I wish I wrote down the line, but it was just that one line where he was like validating, like, yeah, your sister is beautiful, but like, there's more to it. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
not all Mackenzies are, oh, what was the line? You know?
So he says like it's like that she like walks in the light or whatever, and
Mm,
he's like, but no Mackenzie ever is like in shadow, and it's
yeah.
like yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That. I was like, okay, okay. So, yeah, I loved that moment so much. It was so good for, the OGs. Whew, so good.
Exactly. Yeah, we all understood, and I was like kicking my feet and squealing at that moment. I was like, this.
I agree.
Yeah,
And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna transition and say, but then this like romantic moment and all these like little bits of like meet cutes is just suddenly brought to a halt in like the Outlander style that we would expect is when suddenly Ellen is missing in action and the brothers are just like, let's go to war. I'm like, it's gotta have been just hours, guys. Can we calm down? But yeah, they lose their minds and they're playing against each other. Colin and Dougal are just like, you know, hinting at things to like for like Colum's own um wins here. Like he knows what his brother is capable of. And then he just lets it happen. Dougal goes, he freaking destroys the guy, Malcolm. It's like, bro, guys, she's been gone for an hour, maybe two. Can we chill?
Well, and it's such a good example of how Cullum is a ruthless strategic thinker. Like he is very willing to cause massive problems and sacrifice. I mean, he knows that they're going to want retribution. He's willing to sacrifice certainly his sister and probably like maybe his brother on the
Yeah.
altar of his ambition, and that's the Cullum that we know. Like he's maybe not a good person, but he's also very bright and very ruthless, and sometimes you need that. So, complicated guy.
Yeah. Complicated guy, complicated situation. And all the while, Ellen does not know that this is all happening. And then suddenly, we are in a completely different time. We are in 1923. And suddenly, there's these two characters going at it that we've seen in the past. And now suddenly they're in the future. And they know each other. And they're having the time of their lives. Classic on a blanket in on what appears to be a hill. I feel like I've seen this film before. You know what I mean?
I couldn't believe where I was like, oh, that literally was just Claire and Frank from the book. Like, and which I do feel like it's really interesting the way that they're setting up Julia and Henry feels like if Frank was actually Claire's soulmate, this would be their story. Like he goes after, like she goes back into the past, he goes after her. Like it's just interesting, and I like it because I like Henry and I like that kind of what if scenario. But it's interesting.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. But yeah, very much that. Like, if, Frank would have just ran off for his wife and, like, went look. I love that actually. So we kind of get to live out, like, that scenario that we didn't get with, Claire and Frank. So I love that. But here's the thing, though, is that this is kind of like where I get annoyed. I start to get annoyed is like I don't like how rushed this is. Like they're hooking up, they're going into a car, they're like feeding us all of this information. Like they have a daughter, her name's Claire, she's pregnant with another, and it's like all these things, and suddenly they're in a car crash, and they are swept away by water. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so much. Like, that could have been an episode, but it was crammed into the end of episode one, and suddenly she's gone, and then suddenly we don't know if he went. I just feel like it was so rushed. I feel like they really pushed a lot of narratives and a lot of backstory in like the last like 10 minutes of the episode, whereas like Brian and Ellen, we got their backstory for the better half of the episode, and I wanted, I don't know, I thought it was really fast.
Yeah, it almost does feel like structurally, it did feel a little bit weird that all of a sudden we jumped into them just with like 10 minutes left. It almost feels like structurally we could have done that entirely in episode 2, and then had maybe a little bit of what we saw in episode 2 could have bumped into episode 3, because as we'll talk about in episode 3, I did not think it used its time as best as it could. So we could have maybe shuffled some things around there. So I totally see what you're saying, because it
Yeah.
was a lot and very overwhelming.
And just, yeah, I don't know. They had a checklist of things that they had to hit before the end of the episode, but I don't think that they needed to. And they did do it, but just, it was too much. But, anyways, on to episode two.
Yeah. So this episode is, it's got to be in the Outlander universe. This is probably in my top 10. I am obsessed with this episode. And I feel like it tells like almost a whole self-contained story in their early romance, and it does it so efficiently and so beautifully, and I cried for like the entire first half, and I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed with this relationship and these characters, and I'm in. They sold me 110%.
It's a beautiful story. It's really like, it's, based on, heartbreaking situation, and, love can grow from such darkness. So yeah, I can see why you loved it so much. And I know that you love the storytelling of like World War One, and like diving into that more. And, it really was, it was a beautiful episode. I do have thoughts, but we can dive into it.
That's great. We can totally have thoughts. So we start off with Henry in World War One, and I am particularly fond of World War One and trench warfare, and like he's writing during that, and he's writing just almost into the ether, hoping somebody sees it at a newspaper or whatever, and that's like I wrote papers and took a whole class on like poets of that era, and so he was just giving me like exactly what I needed emotionally from this idea of these men in hell and this horrible situation, and him just reaching out and crying for connection. It's just was so beautiful.
It was, yeah, it was really beautiful, and it really was reminiscent for me, to Downton Abbey. And, when Matthew, is off in war and he's in the trenches, and he's, writing these letters not only to, his fiance Lavinia, but he's also writing to Mary. And, there is, kind of that feeling of like your last hope and your only outlet to kind of like, remind yourself that you are human and you are going through something awful, and it kind of like removes them from that situation and allows them to articulate things that they absolutely had no way of doing in these like hellish, like trenches scenarios, and just awful. So there is such a beautiful, storyline in writing letters in that era. So yeah, it was really well done. And I love that, he is sending this into oblivion in hopes that somebody is going to come across it, but for it to be his soulmate that comes across it, it's just, as luck would have it, that's what happened. And it's, I love the writing back and forth. It's stunning. It's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, it was so romantic, and I love Like, I love that they set Julia up as so smart and so practical and a suffragette and all the things that she is, and yet she has this capacity for this like almost whimsical, mythical, mysticky connection with, you know, like when she goes to put her hand on the letters, she skips like 4 or 5 and then just touches that one and she pulls it out and she's like just knows. And I love that because it allows, like, it feels like such a through line to Claire, where, like, yes, she's a practical thinker, she's a nurse, she's medical, she's all of these things, but she has this greater sense of the beyond and what love means and what fate is, and it just swept me up. I was so engulfed in this romance just immediately.
And yeah, I love how also when she keeps the letter for herself, that is so the opposite of what her character is painted to be, like very like to the book. She's very like academic and like, you know, you wouldn't have expected her to just be like, I'm just gonna pocket this letter illegally and I'm gonna leave it then or read it at home. So I love that, like, you know, despite her being like this, you know, stereotype that you might have thought at the beginning, she kind of like surprises you, and I feel like she's going to continue to surprise us in that way. So I love I love these little hints of her being, you know, a little bit of a hopeless romantic despite her like being super like smart and beyond her years, you know.
So that leads me to the question that I have for you. I was wondering if your thoughts that you had, is it because of the meeting that they have on the stairway?
Yes.
Was that a thing? It
Yeah.
is. Okay. This is so interesting because I feel like this shocks me. You're going to go rational and I'm going to go romantic on this.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
So, tell me your thoughts. I'm so excited.
Okay. So okay, I get it. She's stressed, whatever, and she hasn't heard from him, whatever. But like, don't tell me. Do not tell me that she's just gonna go out for some air and then suddenly she's just gonna walk by him and he's gonna just quote something and she's gonna be like, Henry? And like, don't tell me that he knew that was Julia. Like, there's no way. There's no way. And I love a romantic moment. And, you know, an unbelievable one. But this, I was just like, guys, no way. There's no way. They're not even at the war office or like the postal office. Like, there's no reason to connect the two things. It's almost like he was like, oh, she's hot. I hope it's her. Maybe if I just say something, it'll just work. Like, what? I know.
Where is your romantic heart in this? No.
No.
It's so...
I know. But then obviously it's sweet. It's romantic.
Mhm.
And I like, it's fine. It's lovely. But for once, it's weird because for once I was like, what? You know?
See, that's totally how I felt when I read it. Because I read that that was going to happen beforehand because Jeremy Irvine that plays Henry, he was like, he like went to Matt Roberts who like runs the show and he was like, this doesn't seem right. And Matt's like, no. Like you gotta work with it. It's fate. It's all things. He's like, it's going to work when it's in the show. And I read it and I was like, no way. No way is that going to work. And then I watched it and I got full body goosebumps. I started to sob. I was like, oh, it fully works. I was 100% on board because this is the same thing that I loved when we broke down An Offer from a Gentleman, where I was like, this idea of like knowing the person before you know them, and this idea of like fate and this Shakespearean sense of like, because they know each other on such a deep soul level, like they've talked all of these times and they've exposed themselves to each other in this much deeper way than anything you can have on a physical realm. Of course they're going to know each other when their souls pass. And I just am so obsessed. And also because, okay, this is also with my love of Outlander is very connected to the idea of like time travel and fate. And so they've done this before. like they've had this experience before because you time travel, like they've already lived a whole life together in the 1700s before you get to the 1910s. So they technically, even though they haven't, they have, like that experience has already existed. And so they do recognize each other. They do know each other. And it's like my favorite thing about Outlander, and I love it because it's so like metaphysical but so romantic, and
Okay, when you put it that way, there is that feeling of, yeah, they have known each other. And I guess I'm just so you I guess like in my mind I was like, it's like Claire and Frank, they just like didn't know each other before. I'm just like picturing them as like the stereotype in Julia and Henry, that they are the people who are married and then they go back in time and then they find a different life back then, so I just like automatically like it's hard to disassociate what I know in like those. I don't know I don't know. I don't know what it is.
and it is weird. It is out there a little bit, and I think it probably is a little divisive within the fandom because I think for some people it probably doesn't work, and that's okay. Like that's okay. Not everything always has to work because I have big thoughts about episode 3 about something that didn't work for me. So it happens.
Also, I will say, I think it's on the heels of the fact that I didn't like how they rushed their story at the end of episode 1. So I was like, oh, and now like suddenly, oh, they cross paths, and it just felt like I would have liked to see it in a different way. That it would have been more like, I don't know. I don't. I wanted.
That's
I want more of them, and I just feel like it was
yeah.
just their meeting was rushed. When they died, when they car crash, it was rushed, and it's like, I just want more time with them, and I want. I don't know.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's because their love story unfolding, like the beginning of their love story, I'm seeing it more as background and you're seeing it more as story. And
Mm.
so like if you see that as like their plot line, then yeah, that would feel super super rushed. And I'm seeing it more as like this is backstory before we get to plot line. And
Hmm.
so that like perspective might be a little bit of it because you're wanting to see that love story unfold as almost like a like there's another version of this series where the love stories ran parallel for a season and then in season 2 they connected or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe that's what threw me, because I thought that for a while in this series, in this season, that it would be parallel. Like I thought, I was surprised to see them in the past in episode 1, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So I think, yeah, it's just my understanding, or like my hopes were just the complete opposite of how it actually went down, and I
Yeah.
just want more time with them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um well, and it definitely clips along. I mean, like they go from the steps to sleeping together to getting married in the space of about 3 minutes.
Hmm.
So it definitely clips. But gorgeous scenes in there. Very
Beautiful.
gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah. And they did a very good job at like showing their connection despite like the speed, like the fact that like um he has like some PTSD with like the war and stuff, and he's in bed and he freaks out, and she's just immediately there and comforting. Like despite it all happening so fast, you can see that they love each other and that they're there for each other, and it's beautiful. And they're reassuring each other. So like the emotional connection, despite it being quick, is very evident. So that I thought that scene, especially like in the bed, was really well done, and the acting was incredible.
Oh yeah, they did such a good job. And I have to throw in my random little like fan theory where I also think that they're echoing of Claire and Jamie because I'm like I think Julia has definitely had sex before and I think Henry has not. because like he's kind of awkwardly like, how do I do this? And then she's like basically like, lay down, I'm on top, I got this. And I'm like, this boy is wrecked. He can't even like his breath is coming out shaky, and she's doing great. Like she's enjoying the shit out of herself. She's loving this situation, but she doesn't look like she's about ready to like fall over dead over these feelings. It looks like Henry is going to keel over. And so that's my read of this situation, that Henry is our sweet little like Jamie like virgin in this series.
Oh, so cute. I love that. Definitely got that vibe of her being like, yeah, let's go. No second thoughts. And he's just like, wait, what? Like, how do I do this? That's so cute. I love that comparison for sure.
Okay, well, and then we jump back to the past where we left, Julia when she went through the stones, and she gets kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
So
But first, I think we need
yeah.
to talk. We need to talk about her ring and how the
Yes.
stone came out.
Yeah. Which is like a whole like feature of the stones, that you like can technically travel without them, but the gemstone focuses it. So it's interesting that this is where she ended up. That she doesn't end up in the past where her actual daughter is at any point. She ends up 30 years before that. So I don't know. It's an interesting place for her to land, and I wonder why.
I'm suddenly now thinking about the fact that Roger goes back in time and ends up at a different time too. Right? So,
Because his dad is there.
yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
what is driving Julia to go to this time? Like, I feel like there's such a huge, like, mic drop at some point in this season that's gonna be like, oh my god, that's why. That's why she's there. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but I feel like we've met her unborn child in like the later years of Outlander. Like I feel like it's a character that we know. The baby that's born.
Really?
I feel like something's gonna be like, I don't know who. I don't know. I just feel like this baby we know. And Claire has met this person.
I feel like the child that Claire and Jamie are raising at the end of season 7 is going to be, I haven't worked out the time exactly, either the daughter or the granddaughter. I think it'd be like granddaughter of this child, I think. So I think it's gonna be like through that lineage, but I
Are
don't
you
know
talking about
the
Faith? No.
No, so like, well, what is her name? What is the name of the little blonde girl that they're raising that's Faith's daughter at the end of
Oh,
season
I
7?
forget.
I can't remember her name, but I don't know why I can't. But anyway, so like I would think that so like Faith would be the daughter of the baby that Claire or that Julia's carrying. Because like timeline wise, if they stay in the 1730s, which they might not,
Yeah.
like they might hop around in time, so who knows? And maybe this little girl is the one. I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't
They could do
know.
anything.
But something something. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something.
It's connected.
Yeah.
It for sure is.
Yeah. But anyways, she's back in time. Julia loses the stone in her ring. She gets kidnapped while she's like looking for help because she's trying to find Henry. And then at this point, or potentially earlier, we realize that Henry does go back in time to go find her too. So they're both there, and it's like another classic case of Outlander. He's there, she's there, and they're trying to find each other. It's like,
Always.
feels like home. It feels like home. We've been here before.
They're shouting each other's names across the moors. It's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Also, okay, one of the things that I love so much about what they gave to both Henry and Julia is Claire comes by her arrogance honestly, because good land both of those people are arrogant, and I love it because I love letting especially female characters have some arrogance, because that is a trait that we tend to reserve for men. But oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear it better than Henry Beecham. Because when he waltzes into that tavern and is like, don't trust that without any contracts, and like waltzes his little way out and then talks his way out of everything, I was like, I need him to like pin me against a wall. It's something about like being able to talk his way out of things. I am in love. I just love him.
It's so funny. Oh my god, that's so funny. But it lands him into shit. Like, why did he have to say that? I'm like, bro. But also love that he went for a beer and he's like, I have no money. And he's just like, what? Where are you? Obviously, you don't know what year it is. Like, it's so funny. It's a great, like, series of events. Like, oh gosh. Henry, what a
I
guy.
think ultimately I just have a soft spot for guys that actually are the smartest person in the room, but also have to prove it.
Mm.
Like, that's a type. That's a thing.
That's a very specific type. But yeah, I see it. I see it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so he ends up serving the Grants. We meet Archbug, who is just as scary as he is in Outlander. He's sketchy as fuck.
Yeah. Awful, awful guy. But yeah, no, they're both in two different situations in the same time, and they're writing these heartbreaking letters again to each other,
Yeah.
despite them being apart. And then it ends in such a beautiful note with the sealed with a kiss, and it's like, oh my god. It's just the perfect way to tie the whole episode together. Ugh. And it ends in heartbreak.
It's so hard. It's so hard to see them apart. And like I loved them devoting like a whole episode to them, because I did feel very much at the end of episode 1 where I was like, this was not enough of Henry and Julia. So I love that they just did. And it really felt like at the end of episode 1 Ellen was the only person who was properly developed. And so they're like, okay, we're just going to put a pin in her. She's not even in episode 2. And then they develop out the other characters more, which is nice. So
Yeah. Which is nice. And I like to see that Brian is part of, the Julia storyline, and,
yeah.
vice versa. Like, it's cool to see how they're, like, blending together, and exciting to see how they'll come together later on, too.
For sure. Well, and that's what, I mean, we saw Brian take the beating for Julia, which, another one that's very much like father, like son. So yeah, he's gonna protect her, protect the women and children always.
Bless those Frasers. Then on to episode 3. Which, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I decided to start this episode at work, and I was like, I'm gonna pause here and finish this later.
Yeah. This was like when I was watching the mirror scene on a bus with people all around me.
Yeah. Nice. That's the perfect way to watch the mirror scene.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, we start with a bang, for sure. Gorgeous, beautiful people, very lovely. But too bad, because Ellen is dreaming.
Too bad.
So,
So sad.
yeah.
I really did not think that was going to be a dream, though. I was like, oh, okay. We're already there. That's fine. Love that. But yeah, big old dream. Buzzkill the moment she wakes up.
Yeah. For me, it was when she looked at him and said, promise me this is real, and like went up to touch his face. I was like, oh, this is a dream.
Buzzkill. For sure.
So tragic.
Yeah.
And she wakes up engaged to not the guy she's dreaming about.
Right. Right. And she thinks, oh, okay, great. And she's like, everyone knows. I was like, that's not the excitement I was looking for. So here we go.
Yeah. And I really loved this, like, whole plotline for Ellen of like, wrangling support and trying to figure out how she's going to try and get out of this marriage. And she's, like, talking to Colum and then talking to Dougal. And it was the political machinations of this episode was just really compelling. I enjoyed that. That was the strong plotline of this episode for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just I mean, maybe we don't agree with all of the plans that the women in this episode are doing, but it's cool that we have an episode of the women trying to control the narrative. So like girl power, we'll get to we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, we love a girl with a plan.
Yeah, they're very active in this episode, which I love. Um, well, in getting into Julia's predicaments, Mrs. Porter figures out that Julia is pregnant and is like, that baby is in danger if you don't do something about it. So basically, here are the herbs to abort the baby, and Julia's like, nope, don't need it. So definitely a setup for her plot line. But yeah, she's getting very nervous because she's going to be showing soon.
Yeah. And so many times though, in the previous episodes, the beating that she takes, I'm just like, be careful, please. Every time I'm like, oh my God, it's so stressful. But yeah, now we're at a point where she's pregnant and she's getting there. And now the whole idea of her bringing a baby into this world and she's a lone mother, it's complicated. So that's like looming over the storyline. And all the while, Ellen's just continuing to figure out a way to just get out of this marriage with Malcolm. And oh my gosh, she's hellbent.
Yeah. She really is. Well, and that's what, I mean, obviously her relationship with Colum is better than her relationship with Dougal, and she thinks that Colum is going to be the better leader, which, valid, I would agree with that assessment. But Colum has essentially betrayed her, and he's betrayed their father's word that she wouldn't have to marry. And so she's gonna, like, switch sides to Dougal until it turns out Dougal's just going to promise her to somebody else because she's the pawn that they have. Also, another fun fact, the guy that he's talking to, like Dougal, when he like promises her, is McCranach, who is the one from, if you're a book reader, is the guy at the end of book 1 who helps when Jamie escapes from Wentworth Prison. He's like the first person they go to, and he like also loved Ellen Mackenzie, and so it's like this thing of like all of these guys throughout the book are like, oh, we loved Ellen Mackenzie, so her son, and we're gonna take care of him, and it's kind of sweet that they all have this allegiance to her, even though they didn't end up with her.
That's cute. She's a good gal. Everybody wanted her, and we'll do anything for her. I love that. Yeah. That's a cool fun fact. Look at you with all these fun facts.
It's born of the many, many, many years of this being the only thing I thought about. Outlander was it for me for probably 4 years. So.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so then we get Brian reporting back to Simon, who is like, great, I have a plan, we're gonna ruin Ellen's reputation, and Brian's like, not what I was going for. Like, he clearly thought that his dad would stop that marriage, but didn't think that his dad was gonna go about it that way, which I'm like, have you met your father? But okay.
Yeah. It's unsurprising, but, like, not the greatest idea. But then, yeah, we then go into a flashback to figuring out what happened to Colum. And, just all the darkness from their past. So kind of paints a picture of, like, why they are the way that they are. So we're learning more and more about them and their predicament. And it kind of sets us up for Ellen and her plan to just figure out how to get through this, figure out who's going to be the Laird and, like, try and solve her own problems by, like, simplifying other, like, family dynamics. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and she's definitely got lots of things and lots of memories going on. Broke my heart with Colum and being so sad about, like, clearly just wanting his dad's approval so much and just being, like, physically unable to do that. And then, like, the idea of how much Jacob has, like, abused Dougal physically. Like, he, like, abuses Colum mentally and then, like, he's like, I can't even beat sense into you for Dougal. And it's, like, so clear. mean, Dougal's like, how many lashes this time? Like, he's just ready. Like, this is so
Mm-hmm.
familiar to him. And I got, oh my god, I literally put it on a reel to the song of my I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. Got
Mm-hmm.
so activated with Dougal, where I was like, please, I was like, let me baby you and your poor little daddy issues. Like, I felt
Please.
so bad for him.
I
Like,
know.
he's a dumbass, but he doesn't deserve that.
No, no one does. Yeah, and it kind of just like you also then know like where Dougal goes in the later years too, and you're just like his past, troubled. He was troubled. Both these guys, so sad. But it's really interesting to get that like backstory. So as sad as it is.
Oh yeah, and it makes sense. Makes total sense. Um, so what did you think of our girl Ellen's plan to have them split the lairdship? And her little clever idea there.
I mean, I think it made sense. Like give them both a job,
Yeah.
you know, give them both something to do, make them, you know, make the best of both of their, let's say, qualities. So, I mean, yeah, I think it was a good plan. Is it gonna work? Who knows? But yeah, but it made me wonder though. Like in the later years, like were they splitting that responsibility? Like when we meet them in the original series?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I wasn't sure about that, but it's kind of cool to see that Ellen was like the source of that, you know, and
Yeah. Which is interesting because if I remember right, in the original series, Ned Gowan takes credit for it and was like, that was my idea. And it feels, this is such a weird deep cut, but it feels a little bit like in the first season of Bridgerton when Lady Danbury is like, oh, the Ton was integrated because the king fell in love with the queen or whatever. And I was like, girl, give yourself credit. That was you. Like,
yeah, exactly.
that happened, like, you brought the people together, your ball, your thing, like, yeah, absolutely, Charlotte and George helped, but, like, that was you, Agatha,
Yeah.
take your flowers.
Please,
But,
duh. That's so funny. So true.
so Ellen needs her flowers for this plan,
Yeah.
because it's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we get Henry talking to a madam about Julia, very romantic speech. I feel like that's going to come into play of him, how he ends up finding Julia.
Yeah, definitely. It's just another one of those like meant to be moments that you're like, this is the right thing to happen, and I really do hope that it comes full circle. I'm like stressed though, how long are they gonna be apart and like this whole baby situation. It's like I'm just seeing it as like don't make a stupid decision, and then she does, and I'm like, I can't. Ellen, good idea. Julia, bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So the episode ends with Julia deciding to sleep with Simon. And I truly, I mean, obviously I have ranted about this sufficiently on my Instagram, but I truly don't understand. So I'm like, so her plan is to, I would assume, make him believe it's his baby, because that's how Mrs. Porter was like, oh, he won't, he didn't hurt my baby because it was his, and so that's Brian. And so Julia's like, oh, I'll just convince him, which I'm like, Julia, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. Like, that's not gonna work how you're acting like it's gonna work, and you're way too smart for this. So I
Yeah.
was frustrated.
Yeah, it's exactly that. You're way too smart to just see somebody else's situation and be like, oh, copy paste. Sure. That should work.
Yeah.
No, girl. Please. Please. But like, okay, so question then. What do you think she should have done?
So, my A number one, go to the guy that took a beating for you and be like, hey, I'm pregnant. can you get me out of here because your dad is sketchy as fuck, which obviously Brian knows. Like, he constantly puts himself and like his body between Julia and his dad. Like, he is very aware of exactly what his dad is and does not like it and isn't okay with it. And so he has shown that he's willing to put his body on the line to protect her. If she has a baby, then like he's extra gonna do that. And which we've seen the preview for episode 4. Clearly that's what happens because she leaves with Brian. We see them on the wagon together. We see like her connecting with Ellen. So he's going to do that. So what was the point of this like weird detour? It feels like so much they were just trying to shoehorn in this obsession that Outlander has with like forcing by circumstances committed couples to sleep with other people. It's all over the Outlander story, like constantly. I was running through it in my head and I was like, how many times? And obviously it's coercive and obviously it's like sexual assault and whatever, and like Julia is not doing this of her own free will. This is not consensual. But like over and over again, I'm like how many times? I'm like, okay, so like Blackjack, the King, Geneva, Lord John, like that is a lot of people to sleep with in a committed relationship. It's a lot.
It's crazy. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah. And so it just felt like they were just trying to make that happen again. And I was like, this is not working. And my little fanfic idea of if you need drama for this, why doesn't she go to Brian and be like, hey, will you say it's your baby so at least your dad will back off? Because like Simon would not respect the autonomy of a woman, but he would probably respect at least a little bit his son's right to this girl because he would believe that that's a thing. And so that would be a very interesting little wrinkle for Brian to show up to woo the girl that he actually loves with a girl in tow who's like allegedly carrying his baby, and they have to be like, no, like he just said this, not his baby. Like we have to like convince Ellen, and her being like, what the hell? That would be interesting drama, I would think.
Yeah. But then that's such stressful drama. It's like too much. It's like, no.
I agree. I wouldn't want that. I just want her to go to Brian and we can just skip the ending. But I'm like, if you desperately need drama, I can inject drama. I can do that for you if you think that there needs to be more.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.
No. Annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, same. I'm stressed for episode 4, but anyways, those are the first 3 episodes of Blood of My Blood. It's a lot of information. Truly, so much information.
Yeah, it was packed. And I'm really optimistic, though. Like, obviously, I didn't love everything about episode 3, but I still thought it was overall pretty solid. And I'm really optimistic for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be good. So.
I agree. There's going to be lots more to unpack very soon.
And we're going to be here unpacking it, so stick with us. Because we got lots more to say.
Exactly. But yeah, next week though, we will be taking a little bit of a break week, but we will be coming back afterwards with a huge episode. Cass, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Okay, yes. Because one of my favorite humans I've just discovered, basically, that she's one of my favorite humans, decided to come talk to us, which is amazing. So her name is Vanessa Coffey, and she is the intimacy coordinator for Outlander, Blood of My Blood, and the Buccaneers. So it's insane. She offered us so many incredible details. She's been on Outlander since season 6. She's done all of Blood of My Blood. She's doing the Buccaneers. I mean, the wealth of information that this woman offered was so incredible. This is an interview that you will not want to miss. I lost my mind. This interview was incredible. So I can't oversell it. Like, I always get nervous about overselling. Not nervous about it here. It's amazing. She delivers at every question. Like,
she really does. And honestly, like, afterwards, for everybody listening, Cass and I like hopped on a call and we were like, what was that? That was so good. That was one of the best, if not the best interviews that we've done so far. So definitely tune in to our amazing interview with Vanessa Coffey.